Morning, everybody. This is David with Mayhem Laser. Just wanted to go over a few things. A lot of the common questions about the barrel lids and the rings and stuff like that, and the prep work that's involved. I'm not going to make this real long. First of all the barrel lids come apart. So if you're looking at these, most of them are tongue and groove, like that. And they slide back into each other. There's normally average is about 9 separate pieces, but they do come apart. That's why I say that they involve prep work. You can either glue these, or some people take and put a either a backing strip across here. You can use like 1/4 inch wood, about 3 inches wide, and go from end to end, staple it on, glue it on. Some people cut out the full circles and do it that way because they don't want to mess with gluing. The back sides of all the lids are charred because these are actual bourbon barrel lids. So the char comes off pretty easy though. You can take that off with a wire brush, or I use a little wire wheel and a grinder. Makes it really quick. Just do it outside, so it'll shoot black stuff everywhere. Like I said, these all are actual bourbon barrel lids, so a lot of them will have stamps on them. For this one, for instance, is a Maker's Mark lid. So yeah, that's just kind of some of the prep work as far as that part of it goes when I talk about gluing or sanding, or putting a backing on it. But all these clean up really well. They will be dirty from, obviously being stacked and being in distilleries, stuff like that. So the next part I'll go into real quick is how barrels are actually made. So once again, most of your barrel lids are tongue and groove. There are some companies that use dowel pins instead. I don't normally get a whole lot of those lids. It's not by choice. It's just what I have available. But a lot of people ask me about the rings, and do the rings come with the lids? So the way barrels are made, the only thing that holds these barrels together, period, is the ring. So as you see, the side of this barrel lid is kind of notched. So how these work when they build them is the staves are also notched. These are called staves. Some people call them barrel slats, but correct term is staves. So that notch in here goes on the lid. Now your barrel ring goes around the staves. And it is literally, as you can see even from the side of the staves, the rings are literally the only thing that hold the barrels together. So I'll walk over here real quick where my barrels are. So yeah, like I said, you've got your barrel lid, which is inside of here. Your staves go around that, and your rings go around that. Now even your top ring, which is the smallest one because your barrel gets bigger towards the center, your top ring is not going to fit directly over the lid. I have a lot of people ask, oh, can I get rings with them, and stuff like that. Only way you'd get it to fit around the lid is if you had a barrel with the staves still on it, or if you were even able to piece the staves the correct way, which would be hard to do just buying random staves and doing it. But no, the rings do not come with them, and unfortunately I do not sell this whole piece because that would require me cutting my barrels here, and then essentially I'm just wasting the entire barrel. I haven't even cut one like this, where you have the whole thing for myself, and I've been doing this for over a year. I pay too much money for the barrels, and it's not worth it for me to try to cut them off like that, plus the work that goes into it. But anyways, like I said, you can do these with the backing strip, or you can glue them. I'll show you guys real quick. Oh, also, before you glue them, you want to sand them. You can use an orbital sander, a hand sander. I pull mine apart in the middle here. I don't have a whole huge shop or a massive planer, but I do have a 13-inch planer. Barrel lids are roughly 22 inches across, about an inch thick. So a lot of mine to keep, because I go through so many. I will split these in half and run each half at a time through the planer. And then I'll just go back and finish sand them real quick. A lot of these aren't that bad anyways, so if you don't have a planer, it's not that big of a deal. If you start out with some 60 grit sandpaper on an orbital sander, it won't take you very long, maybe 5-10 minutes a piece to actually get them sanded to however you want it. I start out with the 60 grit, normally finish with the 220 before I engrave them. But to me, it's easier to sand them and clean them up before they're glued, just because sometimes you might have some, like these are all really flat, but occasionally you'll get some that's got a big, like a ridge in it, and you're going to be hitting it with your sandpaper and messing your sandpaper up, stuff like that. Like I said, the easiest way to get the char off is with the wire wheel or wire brush. Some people even use like just a regular scraper. As far as gluing them, if you want to glue them like I do, I don't have a huge shop, so right now I've been gluing lids. I've got a enclosed trailer that's empty, but like I said, they clean up really well. This is me running them through a planer a couple times. I don't plane them down real far. I just do enough to take most of my work or my sanding work out of it. But I will take these in here, turn them upside down, which is just the way I prefer to do it. Trying to do this with one hand. But I'll pull each of these pieces apart. Like I said, some of them have really wide boards, so there's not a whole lot of gluing. This one's, it's actually really rare to get one with this few pieces. It's only got about 7 or 8. But I take and pull them apart. And you can use either tight bond, wood glue is what I normally use, or if I'm in a hurry, I use this Gorilla Glue. It expands like a foam, but it dries really quick. So if you're in a rush, this stuff's really good. Especially if you just want to glue it together real quick and put a backing board on it, you can glue these, put a backing board on it, and basically be ready to go not long after. But when I glue these, I take and I'll put glue just on one side of them. If you put glue on both sides and you go back to push them together, you're going to have glue coming out everywhere. So I normally just glue one side. Like I said, this stuff here dries really quick. That's the main reason I like it. However, it breaks easier. Like if I drop this lid after it was glued really hard, it could break break somewhere. Other quick tip, if you're going to glue them and not put backing, as you see with this one, it's got some real open spots on the back side. You're going to want to fill those in. You can either do that with glue. I've done it with black silicone because silicone dries quicker. But if you don't fill these big gaps in, it's giving your lid room to move. See how much I can pull that up? So that's where people are gluing them and they're saying that they're still bowing one way or another. It's most likely because one, it either didn't set right, or two, they didn't fill the gaps on the back side. Front side, you're not really going to have any gaps. You can see this is all about as tight as it can be. But anyways, if you glue them, that's the way I do it. And the reason I turn them upside down is because I'm gluing them on a flat surface. But I will turn them upside down, and then I will take, I've got a lot of extra barrel parts. But you can take anything, any piece of wood or whatever. It doesn't have to be perfect. I take and put a piece of wood across it. I get some of these bar clamps. You can get these for like $7 a piece at Harbor Freight. If you get the Home Depot ones or Lowe's, somewhere like that, you're going to pay like $20. They're not any better. They do the exact same thing. But I take, once again, trying to do this one-handed. I take and clamp these down to my table or wood, however you're, whatever surface you're gluing them to, or that you've got to set them to glue them. But I take and clamp this down on both ends, and what that does is as it glues and dries, I want the front side of it to be nice and flat, or as flat as I can have it anyways. So that's why I put that side down. This one's pretty smooth across the bottom. You'll find a lot of them aren't perfect. Some of these have different thicknesses. It's just how they're made. But I generally work with the front side. So as you can see, which I've only got one side clamped, but there's no space between my lid and this wood. I used to do this on my shop table. You can still do it that way as long as, you know, I get 24-inch clamps, so it's not a problem. But once you glue them and it dries, make sure again that it's dry before you start handling it. You don't want to pull your clamps off and your lids start falling apart or bowing because the glue is still soft. But once I glue them and they're set, then after that I bring them in the shop, and depending on your process, most of mine I tape off just because it keeps from getting the burn marks around it, like this one here has. So I'll have to go back and clean these burn marks up, which you can do with peroxide and a rag, or you can go back and sand it if you want. But most of them I mask off. Another reason for that is if I want to do one with like the black fill, you know, if it's masked off, I can take and use the laser dark spray. Works really well. Once you engrave it, you can put the laser dark in. It doesn't bleed. It's a great thing about that stuff, but you can get it super black no matter what size laser you have. But once I engrave them, a lot of mine I torch, where you can see like this one's kind of got a cool darker wood grain. I just went over it lightly with the hand torch and brought some of that grain back out, and then I clear coat them. Those are two different types of clear coat I've been using. To me, they're really both about the same. But yeah, like I said, they come out really nice. This is a half lid for a neighbor of mine. His son plays on a baseball team. But there's many different ways of finishing them. Some people stain them. I've used this aged gray stuff before to stain lids and run them that way. Kind of gives it a different look. And like I said, they turn out really well. These are some of my first ones and original ones I've ever done. But anyways, that's what's involved. That's what I'm talking about with prep work. That's how the barrel lids work. That's why I say there's prep work. And that's for those of you who've asked about the rings and if they come with the rings. That's why they don't, because it's not all one piece. And that ring, like I said, without it being around the staves, is going to be bigger than the lid. So you're never going to keep it on the lid anyways, unless you cut it, shorten it, and somehow drive nails into it to keep it on the wood. I don't even know what the best way to do that is. Anyways, the lids, as I stated earlier, about 22 inches across. They're roughly an inch thick. They are not perfect circles, so when them up for engraving, don't beat yourself up trying to figure out why you can't get perfect, because like this lid is from edge to edge this way, I think was 21 1/4, and then from this way to this way is like 21 3/4. So they're not perfect circles. They look like they are, but remember, they're barrel lids. The point of them is to have a rustic, reclaimed wood feel. So if you're looking for something perfect, go to Lowe's and Home Depot and just buy some wood rounds or something like this, where you don't have to do anything. I've tried to market these before, and they don't sell near as well as doing barrel lids. But a couple things real quick. Like I said, they're 22 inches across, about an inch thick. These weigh an average of about 12-13 pounds a piece. That's why shipping's kind of high. I do have pallet pricing as well. I already posted the info on that. But that's the reason why shipping's high. I do box and package all of it myself. I've got my own label printer. I get like 30% off through UPS. So I pass those discounts along to you guys. I don't mark anything up as far as shipping goes. But just remember, you're going to make, unless you're in a really low income area, you should be making a minimum of $100 per engraved barrel lid. I charge $100 for mine. If I'm doing a photograph on one, I charge $130. Like I said, those are minimum prices. And for those of you who are thinking on the pallet deal, the pallets work really well. That's how I started doing this, is I eventually just bought my own pallet because there's nobody around me really close that has barrel lids. And if you don't have anybody in your area who sells them, then you have the market on them. So for instance, like I said, a lot of these lids have good stamps on them. There's 160 lids on a pallet, but the resale on them is great. I know people in other states who sell them for $20, $30 a piece without doing anything to them. A lot of people just want that authentic barrel lid. They'll hang it up in their man cave or their bar area. Let's say you're a huge Jim Beam fan. You know, you can go and buy a Jim Beam sign or something like that, but when you've got a legit barrel lid from the barrel, this is actually a Knob Creek lid. That's what that KC is on here. Jim Beam's the parent company. But something like this, people can mark up $30, $40 and sell the lid just like that. So pallet pricing or something like that, or wondering if it's worth it or how long is it going to take me to go through the lids, try selling them. I mark them. I have plenty of people who buy them from me and they mark them up 20, 25, 30 bucks a piece. And if you're in an area where no one else has them, people will pay it. It's easy to resell. So anyways, that covers the basics. I know it's kind of a short video. I'm not going to sit here, or well, it turned out a little bit longer than I wanted, but I'm not going to sit here and physically sand them, and I'm not that great at editing videos. I just kind of show you what I do, and if you have any other questions, obviously you're more than welcome to message me. But I hope that answers the main part of what you guys have been asking, or what you mean, or when you ask about prep work and what all's involved into it. Like I said, it's not hard. Gluing takes a little bit longer, but if you're willing to do the backing strips, or if you have a bigger laser and you can cut out the circles and just use a trim stapler, staple them on to the back, you don't have to glue them at all. It's a lot faster. I've always glued them. I don't know why I still do it. But yeah, so here you guys go. Once again, if you have any other questions, feel free to message me. The lids, if you're buying individuals, obviously go to my website, www.mayhemlaser.com. I do have boxes to ship rings. I can't ever guarantee what sizes of the rings I have because I don't keep a whole lot of them here. But I do have boxes to ship the rings. I sell those for $3 a piece. Staves I also sell. They are priced by the width. So for instance, these are 1.5 inches or smaller. Those are $1. 1.6 inches to 2.9 inches is $2. 3 inch or wider is going to run $4 a piece. And then I also have the bunghole staves where they fill them and empty them. I sell these for $3 a piece, and these are generally 3 inches also. They're normally the same width as the wide staves, but I do have boxes to ship all that. It's harder for me to put it on my site because the weight variances. But if you're interested in staves, let me know what you want. I can weigh them, give you an estimate on that. Same with the rings, and obviously the lids you can just order through the site. But anyways, thank you guys for the support and following and watching my ridiculously long video to explain lids. But hope you guys all have a good day, and Christmas is coming up. Hey, these lids, I sell them obviously constantly. It's my biggest thing that I do as far as laser engraving. They're a lot of fun. There's so many different things you can do to them, so many different ways of finishing them. So like I said, they do great. You shouldn't have any problem marketing them. And if you have any questions, once again, just let me know. Thank you guys.